Welcome. My name is Tristana Perkle, and I am the director for the School Garden Support Organization Network, the SGSO Network. You are in a webinar all about growing and preserving food using NGSS STEAM, hosted by the SGSO Network, but presented by Hope Sickmeier, who is a garden educator in Ashland, Missouri. I'm going to be passing it off to Hope in just a bit, but to share a bit with you all today about where we're going. Hope, if you could go to the next slide, that'd be great.
Right.
Thank you. Here's our agenda for today. I'm going to be sharing an update about the SGSO network, and then I'll be passing it off to Hope to share all about growing and preserving food. And then we'll leave about 15 minutes at the very least, if not more, for Q&A at the end of our time together. And then next slide, we'll share just some housekeeping here today. We will be recording this webinar and it'll be shared via email and on our recording library on our website. Here is a link to our recording library just so that you have it. And then we're also going to be doing Q&A, like I said, at the end of our webinar. So if you could, as questions come up during the webinar, feel free to just add them into the chat and I'll be synthesizing and organizing them for the end. So don't be shy, feel free to ask questions. If there's a question that's kind of relevant in the moment, Hope might be answering them, but we will be saving those for the end otherwise. So know that you're not being ignored, but we're going to be organizing those for the end. I'm also going to be sharing a copy of the slide deck in the chat here. Let me pull that up actually and get that for you all. Okay, let's see if this works. Go into the chat. Okay, let's do it a different way. Let me grab the link here. So here is a copy of our slides for today. These will have available links. So any of the relevant resources that we're sharing in our presentation today will be linked to in these slides. And I'll share those again later in the webinar, just so that you have them. Please mute your microphone. That would be great. We will be going into one breakout room today, so you'll be able to unmute yourselves and share. But when you come back to the main room, that would be helpful for us. We can hear what Hope is sharing with us. And then finally, please consider sharing your feedback at the end of this webinar. We'll be sharing a link at the end, but also go ahead and put it in the chat right now. It is super helpful for us to continue to develop these webinars so that they're helpful for you, effective for you. So really appreciate your feedback. If you could go to the next slide, that would be great. So this presentation is the first of a 6-month series highlighting presentations that were given at the Growing School Garden Summit in April earlier this year. The summit was hosted by Sprouts Healthy Communities Foundation in partnership with Life Lab, an organization based in Santa Cruz, California, and the SGSO Network. All of the presentations were given at the summit, and we've updated them kind of for a virtual format to share with a wider audience. And all presenters are given a stipend for their time in sharing with us during these series, all being supported by the Sprouts Healthy Communities Foundation. But the next slide will share the upcoming webinar schedule for this series. It continues through March and concludes a variety of topics from professional development to music in the garden to decolonizing garden education work.
I'll put on a headset.
Oh, you're fine.
Oh, if you don't mind muting yourself, that would be great. Let's see, great. And we just hope you can join us. Specifically, the one that's coming up next month, if you could jump to the next slide, we are diving into Growing School Garden Summit Lightning Talks. So Lightning Talks were a specific type of presentation we had at the summit where we featured short 5-minute presentations, kind of with some reflection time in between. So we'll be featuring 5 of those presentations on October 19th at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Hope you can join us for that. This is the different list of talks that we'll be highlighting and also available up on our website. And then next slide shows that we have another way that you can interact with the Growing School Garden Summit. You can head to the YouTube channel to check out all of the presentations from our main stage. So this includes our keynote speakers, as well as a number of other talks and presentations. I'm putting a link to that in the chat. This is the YouTube channel that has all of the main stage presentations if you'd like to kind of peruse those on your own. And then next slide, I wanted to make sure to share with you just an overview or just an update about the SGSO network. We are a peer-to-peer learning community all about growing an equitable garden-based education network, getting and growing as many school gardens as possible in schools. So we have a new newsletter. Every other month, we're designing a special newsletter centered around a theme and effective school garden programming. Each edition will include a deep dive into one of our promising practices resources, showcase a video learning opportunity, feature a forum thread, spotlight a member of our network, and share resources from within our network, all around a specific theme. So the first one that just went out last week was all about building school culture as you go back to school within your school garden. And if you missed it or haven't signed up for our newsletter, here is a link to sign up for our newsletter. And then here is a copy of the September newsletter so that you can check out all of the relevant resources there if you haven't already. And then finally, I did for the next slide, if you could jump to the next slide, I did just want to make sure you're aware of our Google Forum. It's an engaged network of school garden professionals asking questions, providing helpful information. You do have to have a Google account to join, but there are a number of, but here are some directions from our website, on our website, showing you how to join the forum if you're not already. Well, with all of that, that's just some updates about the SGSO network. I'm going to now pass it off to Hope to share with us all about growing and preserving food. So Hope, I will pass it off to you.
All right, thank you. So I am a teacher and I have transitioned into being a garden educator for the last 5 years. We're starting our 6th year in the garden. And I'm going to share a slide that's going to give you our backstory. So it's a relatively short video, but you can see some of what has gone on.
How about that? No?
Yes, we
The
can
Southern
hear it
Boone
now.
Learning Garden began as an independent nonprofit that worked in partnership with the Southern Boone County R1 School District in Ashland, Missouri. Their goal was to provide outdoor garden-based education to the students. Located in central Missouri, just a few miles north of the Missouri River, we are lucky to be surrounded by some of the most productive farmland in the country. Despite the rural location and agricultural roots of our community, there was a disconnect between many residents and their food. Two Southern Boone moms, Jenny Grabner and Leslie Moylan, resolved to make a difference and founded the Learning Garden in 2007. The first program was a small after-school club that served 13 elementary students. The programming and scope of the organization have grown exponentially since those early days. The Garden Club still remains and reaches 30 children in both the fall and the spring. Additionally, the Learning Garden has been integrated into the school day schedule, incorporating each pre-K through 5th grade class. 950 plus students currently visit the garden monthly during the school year for a lesson.
All right. So that was just a little bit of our background. Trying to advance the slide. Okay. All right. So we see kids from pre-K through 4th grade, and we are always trying to show them how they can grow their own food and preserve it for a later date. We also talk about how they need to try new foods. It may take 10 times before they might decide if they like something or not. All of our lessons are involved with the next gen science standards, and they also correlate with the Missouri Learning Standards. So everything that is being taught is part of the curriculum for all of those grades. We have done projects including building a bee hotel. She is the Bellagio Hotel. It was made with all recycled materials. And we have also hatched chicks, talked about the life cycle of that. They've seen them from eggs to the hatching to going out into the coop. We've built raised beds. We talk about seed saving. And we had a fundraiser in the past of our bath salts that we use, our lavender and our mint that we grow, and the loofah that we grow. This is one of those things that also involves math, science, and social studies, economics. It's a whole process that they go through. They even market, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. These are just some of the pictures in the past. Okay, so each lesson incorporates those next gen science standards, and we talk about questions, how we can induce curiosity, and how do the plants grow? Why are they important? How can we use them or eat them? We have had this program since 2007, but it's only been in the school district since 2017. And when the pandemic hit, we were able to send enough seeds home, and these kids who had already become adjusted to growing food out here, they're not going to be here. So we sent seeds home, and they started more than 100 gardens on their own. They shared pictures with us and asked questions. We did a few online lessons with them. And they were so excited that they could still grow their own food. And like I said, they shared that out. And it was such an amazing feeling knowing they were still learning from what we had taught them. All right, some of the fundraising ideas. I did talk about the loofah and that, and just, but in the past, we've had something called Dine in the Dirt. And this is a fundraiser where we use our local produce. What we can't grow in the garden, we source it from other gardens around, other farms, locally grown meats, and we have a big dinner out in the garden. This was first started by Sarah Kramer, who is part of the SGSO community. She was an AmeriCorps member here in the garden teaching lessons, but now she is a doctor at Stetson University, and we continue this even when she can't join us, which is pretty great. So some of the other fundraising ideas that we have done, we make fresh herbal salts, garlic salt, garlic basil, which is like pesto in a jar. It's just divine. We ferment radishes. We made our own sauerkraut, fresh apple cider vinegar, apple chips, all sorts of things. And it is quite amazing that when you share this out with your community, how they come together and want to purchase these things. And this is just something that, you know, it's done very casually, if you will. We don't have a certified kitchen, but they know that what we're doing is done with care. And being able to share those recipes or those products have been a really good thing for us. So the lavender and mint bath salts lesson involves actually manufacturing them. They package them, they label them. There's quality control. They do advertising by posters. They also make commercials. This is a 4th grade project, and in 4 years, we've made almost $5,000. All this money goes back into buying seeds, tools, other incentives, snacks, even for our garden club. And this is one of the commercials that the students created on their own. They took the pictures, they put it into their software, and they created it. And I really wanted to share one with you. So here we go. They really get into that whole process, which is kind of cool. This is one of our loofah. They have started to dry on the vine, and so we are harvesting to do this again in November. I see Kelly asked, where did I purchase the loofah seeds? I actually got them from a friend of mine in Louisiana. She sent me an entire loofah, seeds included, and I started with that 5 years ago. If you want to leave an address, I would be happy to send you some seeds. I have a lot. Okay. So I did want to put this in here. This is like a start to finish process for us doing the bath salts. Something that we only put about $80 into has made us a profit of about $1,300 each time. And we do have some donations. I was able to get baggies from like the kindergarten teachers, but the kids, the fourth graders, these 9-year-old kids do this whole process during one classroom session. We have 8 fourth grade classrooms that come out here they come out for lessons, but during November, this is what their lesson is, and it's the whole production of the bath salts. We split them up into groups. Some are working on the manufacturing, some are making the marketing posters, some are creating the video or the commercial. And they're using a mortar and pestle, they're using essential oils, they are doing the whole process, and it is so cool to watch. It's a little crazy out here, but it's a really cool project. Just not a whole lot I can say about that other than it's a lot of fun, and the parents are hugely supportive and buy. So that's pretty cool. Okay. So Tristana, we're going to do a breakout room. These are just some fundraising ideas. So if you have any you'd like to share.
Yes, great. Yeah, we're going to be breaking you guys off into rooms of about 2 to 3 people, probably for about, let's say, how much time do you think, Hope? Maybe about 5 minutes?
Yeah, I think that would be plenty.
Okay, leaving enough time for you to finish up.
Okay.
About 5 minutes, just for a chance for you all to connect with each other. We really seek to create spaces where y'all can kind of collide and meet each other. So feel free to introduce yourselves and then share of any fundraising ideas either that you have or that Hope has inspired you to do with any of the ideas that she has shared. So I'm creating these breakout rooms, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Just by using a Google Doc, and we're able to, even with not much help, we're able to make about $1,000 while everything was pretty much shut down. All right, let's see. Now, this is our bee hotel. This was built completely with recycled or upcycled materials. The bottom portion, the actual hotel part, was my old entertainment center, the top of it anyway. We flipped it upside down. The roof was used or built from leftover tin when our classroom, outdoor classroom, was built. There's old garden hose around the edge to keep it from the sharp edges from being exposed. The little condos right here are actually milk cartons that are stuffed with cut bamboo, hazelnut bushes, and rolled up magazine paper. They're rolled up into tubes, and second graders made these. And so those are in there along with slices of wood from a tree that we lost due to disease. There are also clay pots that we keep grass in for our ladybugs and things in the summer. And she's still standing and still going. We have several bees that have already laid eggs, and they're already mudded up for the winter. They'll come out hopefully next summer, spring or summer. But having this, and the life skills class from the high school, their teacher and they came out, they cut up the tree. The kids used their drill to drill the holes and then helped set it up. So that was a lot of fun as well. I think I went too far. Okay, one of our STEM activities, this is something we do with second graders, and we talk about seed dispersal, how those seeds get from their parent plant and a way to start another life cycle. We use things, tissue paper, paper clips, rubber bands, straws, balloons, anything a lot of people will just have around. You give them a bag with just materials. This is all you have, and you need to create a model that will demonstrate how a seed is going to get from its parent plant to somewhere else where it can grow. You'll see some of this is a floater right here that one of the kids made. This is just a piece of a cutout cardboard egg carton. There is a bottle cap inside with a seed in it. They used a pipe cleaner to hold it up, and that actually will float. This, I'm not sure what that one is, but that was one of them. That may have been a shooter. And then over here we have some feathers that was in one of the bags, and they made a flyer. Now, I recorded one of how I made a shooter just with popsicle sticks, masking tape, and a rubber band, and I'll share that.
Today I'm going to be making a shooter, which is one of the methods of seed dispersal. And I'm going to be using popsicle sticks, a rubber band, and just some masking tape. These are easy materials to get a hold of. I'm going to take some tape, maybe, and I'm going to kind of cross these down at the bottom, and then I'm going to tape them pretty tightly, hopefully to keep that in place. So you've just got a little bit of a V up here. And then I'm going to wrap my rubber band through. And all they would have to do is put the seed in here, literally, and release. And all it does is mimic what a shooter might do. They can make floaters, flyers, shooters.
All right. Whoops.
Today,
I don't know how I keep doing that. Help me out, Tristana.
Yeah, I'm actually the one controlling the screen, and I can't get it to close.
You go, girl.
What is happening here? Okay, I'm gonna pause my sharing. Just to
Okay.
see if I can come out of it. Why isn't it closing? Let's stop and reshare.
I appreciate all your patience too. This is new for me.
Oh yeah, no, you've got lots of wonderful things to share. That's actually quite unique for us.
Great.
Let's get this back up. Here we go. Okay, sorry about that, everybody.
Okay.
Great. So
Thank
just let me know
you for getting that.
along. Yeah.
We talk about 6 different ways that seeds will go away from their parent plant. They're riders, they're rollers, shooters, flyers, floaters, and poopers. And yes, it is just exactly what you think it is. It's when the birds eat the seeds and then distribute them elsewhere. I don't allow them to make one of those. We get a big chuckle out of it, but those are the 3 that we typically stick to, are the shooters, flyers, and floaters. All right. Now, food preservation. We are lucky enough to be able to grow almost anything. We right now still have tomatoes coming on, cucumbers, our herbs are still going strong. We are putting in our cool weather plants, getting lettuce started, our kohlrabi, broccoli, kale, lettuces, all of that. And these are some of the finished products of some of the food preservation that we've done. We made dehydrated apple chips from our apples. And then it talks about removing moisture. These in the, the parentheses, you can kind of see the terms that we hit on for those. So we're always adding new vocabulary for them. We make our own refrigerator pickles. Those are a huge classroom favorite. They ask for them all the time. We have made sauerkraut. Lyra is a whiz with fermenting. They will eat fermented radishes, fermented carrots. We've also made the herbal salts with our garlic, basil, and even a garden mixture where you're adding several different things. You can make them however you like them. They're really easy. Sun-dried tomatoes, I use the dehydrator and then sink them in olive oil, but they are just delicious. And then we've also made herbal compound butters in the past, used those during our Dine in the Dirt event. So those are just some of the projects that we've done, and you can see the pictures there. All right. So Michael says, any special skills, food preservation knowledge required? Not. Hey, I YouTube it. I get on and I find other gardeners around the country, the world, see what they are doing, and I put them into practice. Everything out here is an experiment. You never know until you try. And so that is one thing that we try. Lyra had never fermented before, and she's become quite an expert. I'll try just about anything she puts together. So what other kinds of preservation have you done? Any of you? Jam. Okay. If I had a kitchen, I could do that, but I have a dehydrator, I have a food saver, and we've got jars to ferment and that. So one of these days, maybe we might have a way to do that. Yes, dried herbs, that's good. I've done some of those. When I make the garlic salt, I'll take our fresh garlic and just peel them, put them into sea salt, and just blend it up until it's just nothing but pulverized, and then dry it out on a tray. and then put it into jars. So yeah, the sun-dried tomatoes, I cut up all of our cherry tomatoes and then dusted them with our garlic basil salt that I made and a little bit of olive oil, just tossed them in and then laid them out on the dehydrator. It took about 24 hours for them to dry, depending on how big you leave the chunks. Once they're dried, I put them into a mason jar and put olive oil over them and sealed them. I just closed them, and they should be shelf stable for about a year. You can also keep them in your refrigerator, but the olive oil will solidify a little bit. The classrooms we see are anywhere from 16 to 22 kids. We typically see 4 classes in a day, from pre-K, so you're talking 4-year-olds up to 4th grade now, which 10, 11, and we do see the high school life skills students, and they're a challenge to get them to eat new things, but we're working on it. That's a constant work in progress, as you probably all know.
It looks like there's a question too about food safety when doing fermentation projects.
Okay.
Do you worry about that at all?
We do. We're always really careful to make sure that we are using best practices when it comes to doing that and following the guidelines. We have a recipe book that we watch and use, and we never send anything out until we taste it ourselves. If it's moldy, which sometimes does happen, it goes back into the compost pile. We check all of that to make sure that everything is safe. So don't yuck my yum is a phrase that we use out here every time we try something. Lyra even bought us t-shirts that say don't yuck my yum. Getting any kid to try something new is tricky, and getting them to at least try it and not, put someone else off on it. We tell them we're all going to try it together. Everyone has their food. We'll say 1, 2, 3, and then we will cheers with it and eat it at the same time. We don't have to like everything, but we want to give everything a chance. And so if they don't like it, that's fine. They can take it out. They can put it in a bucket that we will put in the compost pile. And we don't want to yuck anybody's yum. We want to make sure that it's okay for everybody to like different things. And they're pretty good about it. When you have a new group, like we've got new kindergartners and new pre-K kids coming in, you have to train the new ones, but they will even use this phrase at home. So you can see these are pictures of them trying new things. This one right here was me and a group during summer school. Their tongues were green, sort of. We had tried, I believe, kale at that time. Maybe it was hot, but it was a lot of fun. One of the things that I can say I'm not really a fan of are radishes and turnips, but if you cut a raw radish or a raw turnip and put a slice of it on top of a buttered cracker or saltine, it is delicious, and they will eat them. And I've had parents say, I don't know what you're doing out there, but when my kid went to the grocery store with me and wanted me to buy radishes and turnips, she said, I'm just in awe. And so they will try, they will try. And it's a lot of fun to see them try those new things. So the green onions are a big favorite. The fermented radishes are a big favorite. They smell a little funny, but they taste pretty good. All right. So here are the recipes that I've either made or borrowed. And I did make sure that I shared the site where I took the recipe from. The apple chips down at the bottom, super simple. Just putting them in a mixture of lemon juice and water so they don't turn brown after we've sliced them. And then drain that off, dust some sugar and cinnamon on it to your taste. And then again, I dehydrate them. And it's just a crunchy, delicious treat. Those are also a big pull out here. The dill pickles, I also put the recipe for the lavender and mint bath salts on there. And so those are open. You can pull those up, take, feel free to use, absolutely. This is our Facebook page and our website. Very easy to do. And it's okay, Tristana. Go ahead. There we go. So there's question and answer.
Great. Yeah, sorry about that. I was trying to
That's
copy
okay.
the links to put them in the chat, but
Oh, okay.
everyone, we will be sharing out the slides along with the recording today so that you'll have all these great links to all of Hope's recipes and lessons. I don't know if you noticed, but in some of the slides, she linked to the NGSS standards that are associated with a lot of the lessons. So you'll be able to have those as well. But yeah, please share any additional questions. I know you all have been doing a great job of sharing them during the presentation, and Hope has been answering them. I think there was a question that we did miss, Hope, that was around entrepreneurship. So the marketing piece, is that taught as a part of a kind of entrepreneurship kind of separate class or lesson, or is that just kind of naturally incorporated into the work that you're doing with the students?
It's basically part of an economics standard that I pulled out of the Missouri Learning Standards. And I never thought about it being like an entrepreneurship. That's really interesting. But yeah, it would be a good thing for that. I'm doing it with, 9-10-year-olds. So they do tell me you need to sell these besides, and I don't have a lot of extra time to do that, but maybe they will. Maybe they can do that.
Great, I love it. Well, it kind of just goes to show that a garden can really incorporate so many different aspects of things that we want students to learn, from entrepreneurship, marketing, to math, to cooking, chemistry,
All
just
of
you
it.
name it. We
Yes.
who work in school gardens know that, so that's wonderful. And there was a question about just kind of access to the school garden. Is it just open during school hours, or can students and families visit outside of school hours?
I do have families that visit out. There is a neighborhood right behind us, and we have a pathway that the school put in, so some of the kids walk through the garden to get to school. They'll come up with their families. They might pick some cherry tomatoes, read a book, but it's always open. It's not gated and locked off. It's my happy place. I'm not gonna lie. If I'm stressed, I come up here and hang out with the sunflowers and watch the bees. It's a pretty happy place for sure.
Absolutely.
It's behind
Awesome.
me out that window. You can't really see much, but it's out there.
Great. Awesome. Well, yeah, feel free to continue to share questions if you have them. I did just kind of want to do a little group harvest of all of the different ideas that you all shared here in the chat for different fundraising. And so if you all have questions about any of these types of fundraisers that were shared in the chat, feel free to also ask your fellow attendees on this webinar. So we've got U-Picks, pop-up sales, plant sales, harvesting your school's lettuce, and then the school pays. I imagine to then sell in the cafe, or share on the on the cafeteria line.
Right.
Selling pizzas made in a mobile pizza oven with seasonal ingredients. That sounds super fun. Anything, someone shared that anything used in the winter as a continued project. So flowers in the summer means seed saving in the winter. Yes. Packaging into packets and practicing counting, and the same goes for dahlias.
We do a lot of seed saving. There was a question that popped up from Devin, but I didn't get a chance to see it very well. Can you? I think Devin Jackson was the name.
Yes, Devin asked, could you please mention a little bit more about the bath salts? I'm still confused, is what Devin says.
Okay, so the bath salts are something that they're made with Epsom salts, baking soda, coconut oil, some essential oils of your choosing. But we grow lavender, and we grow both spearmint, peppermint, and chocolate mint in the garden. And so we harvest those herbs, dry them, and then they grind them up. There's a recipe in the presentation, and they take them home. They're great if you've had an achy day of working in the garden. You can put, a few in your tub at night, and just the fragrance and the Epsom salts. It's a really soothing bath. So that's what those are. And then you have the loofah to scrub up.
Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thanks for your interaction, your questions, and joining in breakout rooms and sharing with one another. And then a huge thank you to Hope for sharing all of your expertise.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, just building such an amazing garden program that we can all be inspired by. So keep in touch with us. You can follow us at SGSO-Network on social. This is our website, www.sgso-network.org. Like I shared, we've got a great lineup of future presentations from the Growing School Garden Summit coming up the next 6 months. And please share your feedback. You can head to bit.ly/SGSO-feedback. Would love to know what you thought of this webinar, and also to know what future webinar topics you would like, and any kind of basic kind of formats or approaches to these spaces. We like to keep them a combination of, sharing great information with you, but also making it really informal and letting you all share with each other, because we know that you all have great information to share with one another. So this link will also be shared in the follow-up email, which will be coming to your inbox in the next day or so once we process the recording.
And remind them, if they do want loofah seeds, I'm happy to share. Just leave me a name and address, and I will make sure that you get those.
Great, fantastic. Yes, I'll leave the this Zoom open for just a moment if you want to share your address, but we did get a number of addresses in the chat. Okay. So I will collect those for you, Hope.
Thank you.
It looks like you are sending them all over, even to Austria.
I know, how exciting.
So thanks for offering that.
You
That's
got
so
it, Stefan.
fun.
You got it.
Y'all attend a webinar and come leave with some loofah seeds. So I'll leave this open for a second if you need a moment to add your address.
Okay.
But thanks everybody. Just address is fine. Email, phone, contact. I already have your email contact. So share whatever you'd like. And we will just kind of pull all of these together. We have a copy of the chat.
All right.
Great.
All right.
And yes, Mindy, the recording, it will be shared. It'll be posted on our webinar recording library, but also I'll be sending a link to it as a follow-up email for everyone who registered for this webinar.
Devin, you'll probably get about 20 seeds. And from each loofah, you'll get about 75 seeds. So you'll be good to go for a while.
Great.
I will take care of all of those addresses, I promise.
Awesome.
All right.
Great. And I'm going to put my email into the chat in case anyone needs to follow up and send me your address later.
All right.
Great. Well, thanks everybody. And thanks so much, Hope. Really appreciate you.
You're welcome. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.